May 1st, tomorrow, is an extremely important day for the South Carolina Legislature. Any piece of legislation that has not passed one house and been sent to the other house will not be considered without a 2/3 majority vote, which means many pieces of legislation, some you really want to see passed, are dead in the water this year. It will not happen until the next session, which is not until 2014. Now, let's talk about some of that legislation. The ethics reform bill almost didn't make this deadline. It just passed tonight, so it gets a chance to be here in the Senate and possibly become law. Constitutional carry, for those of you out there who are very enthused about this law, unless I didn't hear it passing, it's off the table, unless you can get 2/3 of the people to vote for it, which is not going to happen. And you could go down the list of legislation that's not going to make it. Now you say there's still 2 months left in this session. Why is this going on? Well, of course, you have to have debate and passing in the other house. It has to go to the governor. It has to be signed, and the session ends in June. Now, is this something that took the representatives and senators by surprise? Of course not. They knew about this all along. This is what they do. So what happened? They ran out of time. Why'd they run out of time? Now, there are a lot of reasons to explain this, but I have one that troubles me, a new reason why they ran out of time. Earlier this year, they had been boasting about how much more productive they were this year. 41 pieces of legislation, which was an improvement from the last few years. And they were so proud of it, and they'd been talking about how hard they've been working, that they took a 2-week vacation near the Easter. Now, they took 2 weeks out of a 24-week job. They work 3 days a week, 24 weeks, 6 months. Maybe it's 25, sorry. Now, I know, don't you commenting, oh, well, you forgot the fact that they work when they're out of session. Yes, I understand that. But as far as passing legislation goes, they're done in 24 weeks. So 2 of those weeks, they took vacation. Now, I spoke to a representative about this. I said, look, we know there's a lot left to do. Why, instead of taking a vacation now, why not get all the legislation passed that you're really worried about getting done, get both houses to pass it, send it to the governor, let her send her vetoes, you guys work on that, and then, if you're finished with all of that, and there's still 2 weeks left to go in the session, take the vacation then. His response? Oh, well, people always wait to the last minute. The end of the session is very busy. Now, I wanted to bang my head against the wall because, for a number of reasons. First of all, the end of the session is the end of the session. Whether it's, you're going to say, if you say to the legislature, if we get all this done 2 weeks prior to what is normally the end of the session, we will get those 2 weeks off, the end of the session would occur 2 weeks earlier. But secondly, it raises a question. If what they're saying is the 2 weeks right at the very end of the session is the productive part of the session, why are we paying them during the year? Are they not working? And for all those people who holler, we should run government like a business, I think there's something we need to look into here. The bottom line is, if you work 3 days a week for 24 weeks, you don't get a vacation in the middle of it, especially if every year, when questioned about why the Department of Administration wasn't done, why this legislation wasn't passed, if your answer is, we just ran out of time, you don't take 2 weeks off during the session. And you certainly don't do what's being proposed by at least one senator or representative. We need to shorten the Senate because the session because we'll save the taxpayers money. Sure, if you do nothing, you do save the taxpayers money. But we don't get things done like ethics reform and Second Amendment rights and Medicaid reform and the Department of Administration. I could go on and on. Call your senators, call your representatives, and tell them to put truth in work. You know, we got truth in advertising, truth in sentencing. How about truth in legislative work? You're elected to serve 3 days a week. 24 weeks for that session. Work it and make it finished. Let's not have the session end with, oh, we got legislation that's not getting done because we ran out of time. We can't change this session. Although we could on bills that you think are very important, for example, of the constitutional carry. You could flood your senators and representatives and say, vote 2/3 to get this passed this year. But we need to put the fire to the feet of our senators and representatives. And while I'm talking about that, the ethics reform bill that passed in the House, while a good step in the right direction, doesn't go far enough, but it needs to pass. It's up to the Senate now. And if they drag their feet, we'll have another not productive session when it comes to ethics reform. I would urge that you urge your senators to add a truly independent ethics commission. What's being proposed in this legislation that passed the House is a 16-member bipartisan panel made up of senators and representatives. No. We need an independent panel that's an independent agency that has people on there from the Senate, suggested by the Senate, picked by the House, picked by the governor, and picked by you and me. Some House members were saying, well, that's unconstitutional. Really? Show me where that says it can't happen. Show me where it says the public can't critique the House and Senate. And if that's the case, put the question to us and say, do you want to change the Constitution to allow you and I to have a say on these ethics reform issues? All right, you can hear us Mondays, or you can hear us actually any day of the week with our podcast, which is on canIGetAWordIn.com. You can go to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast channel, Another Voice with Eric and Jason. You can go to Facebook, Another Voice with Eric and Friends. We want to hear from you. We want to hear feedback on this. You can comment here on the video or online on the website or other places. And just want to mention to you, the Rides for Strides has been moved to June 1st. So we got a great time to add more riders. We'd love to have 15 riders. We got 5. Let's take this month and add 10 more. You can join us, or you can sponsor us. You can go to canIGetAWordIn.com. The little tab at the top says Rides for Strides, so you'll be able to see how all that works and help us help Strides Tutoring. All right, until the next video, get out there in your community and make a difference.